and I am Marketing Max. Today is show number 559. And then we have a special guest actually from California this morning who he's not the invisible man, obviously, but he's going to be joining Mr. Steve Wolfe. He's a real estate broker with RE/MAX in Los Angeles, and how appropriate for him to come on during this time, given how hot our real estate market here in Las Vegas and the migration from people coming from states like California. And he's going to talk about the reasons why that's happening here. You're going to hear it from someone that's on the streets and right in the mix of things in that market and witnessing what's happening with California residents and the reasons and thoughts behind why the migration is happening out of that state. But before we get to Steve, Ruth, what is happening in real estate?
Oh my goodness. Well, the good news is we listed 202 homes, condos, and townhomes yesterday, and that's my happy face there on the screen.
Right.
We're happy because, we only have 19.7 days of inventory. And with 19.7 days of inventory, it was as low as 15. So the more we list versus the more we sell, the happier I am. Of course, we want to sell, and we are selling. And the seller's equity is why so many sellers are selling. If they bought a home in 2011, they're selling it now. They've probably got $250,000 worth of equity. And that would be if they bought the home at the median price in 2011 for $120,000. So a lot of activity because of that. And then, of course, the low interest rates are causing the buyers to buy. So we kind of have a perfect storm going on here in the Las Vegas market. We put 129 homes under contract yesterday, and we are selling about 114 homes a day on average this month. Last year, we were doing about 136 homes a day, so we're keeping up with it. And as the month goes on, we'll probably get around 136, 140 sales per day. So everything is moving along. The $1 million homes are really flying off the shelf. We sold 618 $1 million plus homes in all of 2020, Max, but the first 5 months and 4 days of 2021, we have sold $667 million plus homes. So that's quite an increase because, we've got 7 more months to go. So we'll see. Those $1 million homes are flying off the shelf now like toilet paper or selling like pancakes, however you want to put it. We did list 78 homes, by the way, yesterday, though, under 400,000. So. Okay. It's just a really interesting market, and I'm going to show something here. A Las Vegas developer in Queens Ridge just put his home on the market for $16 million, and it's the old world European style estate of Johan Lowy, a developer of such upscale Las Vegas properties as One Queens Ridge Place, which is a beautiful high-rise upscale condominium complex. It is gorgeous. And he also built Tivoli Village, which is retail, professional, marketplace. It's just beautiful what he does. Mm-hmm. And this home is 17,643 square feet, and it's in Queens Ridge, 7 bedrooms, 9 baths, listed for $16 million. So that's this market is just amazing. And we're just trailing all the other cities with our fast-paced housing. And this is just a clip from the Review Journal this morning. It says, fueled by cheap money, housing markets across the country have accelerated with rapid sales and rising prices. And as we know, the prices are rising, but they've kind of slowed down a little bit here, which is good. We like that. Good. Exactly. We're continuing to be affordable. That's what we like about Las Vegas. And just a funny thing I saw in the paper, the strip resort caters to canines. So they say the Encore is going to the dogs. so now if you're staying at the Encore, you can bring your pet. You can bring up to 2 pets, which is really cool because I have 2 pets. Wow. And so they have doggy clothing, they have accessories. They're just going all the way in for the dogs. And they're having a bon appetit, bone like bon appetit,
yep.
bon appetit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have new room service now for your dogs, you can have snacks, desserts, meats, fish, vegetable dishes. I mean, it's really funny. Highlights are including best in show with lamb, steamed potatoes, and squash. I mean, it's really fun. And I think that's brilliant of them. Okay.
Just to open and attract more guests and stuff like that.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Steve, hang on a second. And let's see, I had one more thing. There we go. Yes, we won last night.
They finally won last night.
Yes.
Man.
So, yes. And it was an exciting game, man. We weren't going to lose. We had so many shots at that
goal, right?
Goal. It was amazing. I was so excited to watch that show. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an uphill battle with the Avalanche right now, but I'm glad we were able to hit one game. Yeah,
it's just amazing. Hold on, I'm going to give John the phone here, honey. Why don't you take my phone? He's having problems with his computer, but he wants to see this exciting show. Of course, we know that Steve is his friend and my friend. Let's get Steve up here. I'm going to go ahead and hide the Vegas Knights here.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Steve.
We can hear you.
All right. Yeah, we had to start the show real quick here, Steve, while you were dealing with the landscapers. But welcome to the show. So, before we get started, just so our audience kind of knows who you are, and I gave you a brief intro of what you do here. But tell us a little bit of a background and how long you've been in real estate in California.
Okay, I moved to California in 1980, so I've been here 41 years. I've been in real estate in California in the Los Angeles metro area for 38 years.
Okay.
Most of that time was with RE/MAX. In my career so far, I've closed over 2,000 homes.
Wow.
And I will have a lot of thanks to John and Ruth. In 1988, when I met them, they were getting started. They sold me my first building. Remember that, Ruth?
I do. Pebble Beach.
17 properties in Las Vegas.
Right.
I'm a big believer in the Las Vegas market. And I will just tell you something, listening to your stats earlier, Vegas is a better deal than California because John, if you remember, sold me a house 4 years ago. Remember that, Ruth?
Yes, I do.
$129,000. Last night on Zillow, they said it's worth $289,000.
All right.
Okay,
that's pretty good appreciation.
California. It's more than doubled in 4 years. I mean, you may get 30% in California, but not 150%.
Wow.
So I think you got a lot more appreciation to go there, by the way.
Oh, we do too.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Now, so, the hottest topic right now is obviously the real estate market here in Las Vegas. And this, been in the headlines for the last year now, which is this migration of residents coming out of California. Mm-hmm. And that's what's driving prices up here, especially in the $1 million plus mark here.
That's correct. When you talk about your $1 million homes, I was about to interject and say, that big jump because you got people from California who have all this money coming in, and they don't think anything about dropping $1 million or $1.5 million on a home and paying cash.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit. You've been in that market. You're in that market right now. You're talking to California residents. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little things. Some of the things that they're thinking about right now and why they're exiting.
Okay, it depends on where you live. It's all location. Okay. One of the big things that we're seeing here that's causing the exodus, and it really doesn't have much to do with the state of California, but the state of work, is we have a large number of people who work tech here. And you've heard of Silicon Valley, correct?
Right.
We have what's called in Los Angeles Silicon Beach. Have you ever heard of that?
No. Okay.
It's Venice, Marina del Rey, Playa del Rey, and Mar Vista. It's that strip between LAX and West Los Angeles.
Okay.
All these high rises have gone up, and who's there? Google, Facebook, Snapchat, all these companies are there. Okay. So what was happening before the pandemic, I was leasing $4,000 and $5,000 a month townhomes to 26-year-olds who are working in these places. Okay. Wow. And then 2 years later, when they're 28, I'm selling them a $1.5 million home. Okay. Wow. That's what happened then. What's happened now is with the pandemic and everybody going home, a lot of these companies realize they don't need people physically in the office, especially in high tech. And they can live anywhere. So what a lot of people did is they pulled up stakes, sold their $1 million home, moved to Las Vegas, and now operate out of their laptop, out of their place in Henderson. And it's no big deal. They're getting a higher quality of life, and they're still getting the big salary.
Wow.
That's one of the things that's causing people to move. Okay. That's just in the last year. We've also had, as you've heard in the news, we've got higher taxes, higher property taxes, higher sales tax, and in a lot of the areas, the quality of life is going down because of what's gone on. You've obviously heard the stories about our homelessness and whatnot. The problem that has occurred from this is it's not because of specifically the homeless. It's because of the laws that allow this to exist. Are you familiar with the Ninth Circuit Court Division out of San Francisco, their decisions 5 years ago? Are you familiar with that?
No.
They made it a law at a Ninth Circuit Court that if a city does not provide homeless shelters, it's fully legal to camp out and live on a public sidewalk. Wow. Without a bathroom, without anything, you are legally allowed to pitch your tent on a public sidewalk if there's no homeless shelters available.
So, like homeless shelters built, or any room available for homeless shelters? But
what happened, especially in San Francisco, is every major city in the country that couldn't handle their homeless was giving them one-way bus tickets to San Francisco, where they're able to live out in the streets, and they're putting porta potties out there for them and everything, and so on and so forth.
So other cities were sending homeless people in their cities to Los Angeles with a one-way ticket, or California.
With the idea that the California taxpayers will pay for this.
Wow.
Okay. So what happened is, and it really depends on where you live and what you're experiencing. Now, I don't think anybody in Southern California is immune to seeing homelessness. Okay. I see it every day, and it's not segregated by neighborhoods. You will have homeless people camped out in front of $5 million homes. You'll have people camped out in front of downtown. You'll have people camped out down in front of your store. And because of the Ninth Circuit Court, any effort for the police to remove them is considered an illegal eviction. And a number of these homeless people have large lawsuits going against the city for illegally evicting them off the sidewalks.
Oh my goodness.
So, so we have that. Now, what we've done in Redondo Beach, they've tried to make it better. I have a homeless shelter that's been constructed 6 blocks from my house. And they did that in order to be able to clear off the people out of the streets. Now, we only have 20 available units. So what that's caused is a lot of people to come down to the South Bay, to Redondo Beach, trying to get into that homeless shelter. They can't get in, so then they just live on our streets, and we can't remove them.
Wow. So even if you have a homeless shelter, but it's filled,
they're still on the streets, and you can't get rid of them because that's the law.
That's the law.
Right. Now, let me explain to you who our homeless are, because it's not as what everybody thinks it is. Mm-hmm. I've looked, I've seen, I've talked to a lot of people. We got 3 different groups. Okay. We've got veterans from 3 different wars, going back as far as Vietnam. We got Vietnam veterans who have PTSD and mental issues, Iraqi veterans, Afghan veterans. They're on the street, mental illness, they need help. Okay. Then you've got the drug addicts, okay, that have come in from other states that just want to lay in their tents, shoot drugs, and do whatever they want to do. And then you've got people who have run into financially hard times. Those are the ones that usually end up in the shelters. Everybody else is on the street because other people don't want to go into the shelters.
So the homeless, part of these homeless people, Steve, are seeing this as the lifestyle they choose.
Yes. Well, one of the things that we had happen, again, I read the LA Times every day, not that I necessarily agree with them, but it keeps me up on what's going on in the community. Okay. Did you guys see the national news about Echo Park? Have you heard anything about that? Echo Park is a huge park in the middle of Los Angeles.
Right.
Similar to what in New York, Central Park would be not as big, but it's
right by Dodger Stadium, right?
You got paddle boats, you can rent the whole thing. Okay. In the last year, it had been taken over by a homeless encampment of almost 800 people with tents and everything, make it impossible to use the park. So what they did is they opened up what's called Operation Door Key. Okay, Operation Room Key, where during the pandemic, when hotels were shut down, the city was paying like shut down Ramadas or shut down Hiltons and to put all these homeless people into them to get them out of the park. And literally they cleaned out the park forcibly with police officers. All of this done. But now what's happening is people are leaving the homeless shelters where they moved them to are moving back out to the streets because they don't want to be in the shelters.
Wow.
It's an endless problem. Now, where I live physically in Redondo Beach, it's not that big a deal. I will tell you though, in areas that I've sold in, like in Venice, Playa Vista, Mar Vista, areas like that, you may very easily live in a $2 or $3 million home where you take your life in your hands walking out your front door.
Wow.
So your police responsiveness has gone down.
All right. How can I put this? Do you guys know what it's like to live in a defunded police environment?
No.
Back during the unrest of last summer, protesters went to the Mayor Garcetti's house in Hancock Park, and pretty much protested and moved onto his front lawn for almost 3 months. And I'll be honest with you, they were urinating and defecating on the neighbor's front lawn. Because of the laws in place by the Ninth Circuit, the mayor couldn't even get him off his lawn. Okay, so they demanded defunding of the police, and after 3.5 months, he defunded the Los Angeles Police Department by about $3 or $4 million. I mean, he's cutting gangs, he's just cutting stuff left and right. So a lot of people don't know what that means, and I'll tell you what we've experienced here in Redondo Beach as of last weekend. Okay, this I was found out from a neighbor. 1 block from where I live, at about 10 o'clock last Saturday night, several, I'd say, people went up and down the streets of our town with a crowbar, smashing car windows and stealing what they could, one after the other. Boom, 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 boom. A 911 call was made by a neighbor who had her car, and she actually watched it happen. And she called 911. They told her that there was not enough people to go out to check on something like that. They'd give her the name of, transfer her to a detective, who she left a voicemail on. And that was on Saturday. On Tuesday, he called her back and said she might want to turn this over to insurance. That's defunded policing. That's what it looks like.
Wow.
Any comments?
No, that's pretty crazy, but that's
and unfortunately, all of us have just gone to accept that. People are accepting that now. That's one of the things.
So with the increased taxes, they're not supporting the police.
They're defunding the police because the protesters from last summer demanded it, and then the mayor caved because he couldn't get them off their front lawn because of the laws.
Wow.
So it's kind of strange telling these stories because I know a lot of them don't make sense. I'm sitting here watching this happen.
Right. I mean, and it's great to hear that perspective, right, from someone that's experiencing it, because people in like our state here, like I'm watching the news, I'm hearing stuff, and I'm very leery of the news, right? I don't know what to believe on mainstream media at this point. So
I will tell you about that. What I was talking to John and Ruth about, I think last week when I met with them, is that a good portion of LA got burned down last summer, but you guys won't know about that because the media won't cover it. I mean, we saw the police cars, we saw the ambulances, we saw the National Guard, we saw all the stuff going on. We saw blocks and blocks and blocks of businesses wiped out completely.
So there was a lot of looting of businesses?
I mean, billions. I mean, you can, and the thing about it is there was no police. They were told to stand down. So Beverly Hills burned. I mean, places like Gucci and places like that, they were looted out and burned out, but you never saw this on even local news wouldn't cover it. The only way you know they drove down there and watched it or saw it after it happened. Most of Beverly Hills was boarded up for the latter part of last summer, and they won't talk about that.
Right. Wow. So
this is why you guys are doing so well, because somebody who's got a $4 million house is saying, to hell with this. I can move to Nevada and live a higher quality lifestyle,
right?
Taxes, and people aren't camped out on my driveway.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, Las Vegas was one of those cities that gave one-way tickets to their homeless people here.
Well,
to California.
They're coming in from all over the country. Yeah. So we have got that. Our property taxes, believe it or not, are not really on a percentage basis any higher than yours. Mm-hmm. Okay, we pay a basic tax of 1% of assessed value.
Okay. Okay. So a little bit higher, 2/10 higher, Ruth? What is it?
Right.
Vegas?
Now, what we do is the cities get to tack on to that for the municipalities, all the little fees and taxes, like for school systems or for some kind of infrastructure deal or something like that. So where I live, I pay 1.25% of the assessed value. But here's where it works out maybe a little bit better than Nevada. We have Proposition 13. You know what that is?
Doesn't that like cap your tax rate?
Cap your value. So
Yeah.
basically, it caps your value increase of 2% a year. Meaning, let's say you buy a house for $100,000. Okay, your basic tax is going to be $1,000 for
Right.
that year.
Right.
Next year, they increase your basis to 102,000. So your tax is going to be what, $1,020?
Yeah.
And it goes up like that. So what's happened to me is when my wife and I bought our house in 1997 in Redondo Beach, we paid $258,000. Okay. Our house today appraises at 1.4. All right. So if somebody bought our house today, they'd pay $18,000 a year in property taxes.
Exactly.
Where what we only pay $3,800.
Right.
And as long as we keep it and don't change anything, it's going to keep going that way.
Right, and that's the reason that it creates the scarcity in your properties in California, because people with Prop 13, everybody's thinking about that. People who want to
it's hard to sell. It's hard to sell and live in California because
right.
I mean, if I would take my house of 2,300 square feet and move to the neighbor's house of 2,300 square feet, my property taxes would go up 400%.
Exactly right.
So that's one of the good things we got. We got that protection of Prop 13.
Right. So tell us a little bit more about taxes. I know last year in the news they were proposing, moving from the high end 13, the upper end bracket of 13% to maybe possibly 16%. How close is that happening?
It's all about the California legislature and what Gavin Newsom wants to sign and what they want to push. They're pushing for it. Mm-hmm. Right now, you hit the 13% bracket, I believe, at $54,000. So most people are going to be paying most people are going to be paying the higher taxes. You got to understand in California, the numbers all get skewed. Okay, and people don't understand our high numbers. For example, the CARES Act. Remember people getting help for rent and whatnot. I run a property management business. I had to get some tenants, see if I can get them any assistance. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, that's tough because they said for anyone to get any assistance on the CARES Act, they need a family of four needed to have a median income of $75,000 or less. Okay. Most of my tenants, that's less than what they pay in rent.
Right.
So, the numbers are all skewed here.
Right.
$80,000 a year is nothing in Los Angeles. That's probably poverty. You could probably
poverty. I don't know.
You could probably get public assistance on that kind of money today.
Wow.
Potentially, correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. What about the people that make money? I mean, what are their taxes like?
Well, all I can tell you is this. My CPA was able to tell me something. He said, I can't give you a name. I'll just tell you what the situation is. He does the tax return for, he says, a very famous Los Angeles Dodger. That's all he said. Plays for the Dodgers, okay? He said, this man here, after he took every single deduction he can possibly take, he said the man makes a W-2 income from the Dodgers of $20 million a year, okay? He pays 49% federal and state taxes. Half of it's gone.
Half of it's gone.
He nets 10.
Oh my gosh.
That's so
and he said
crazy.
He's taking the maximum he can take on everything. I figure, got somebody like that has spent the money on professionals to help him out the best he can. And that's the best they can come up with.
Right. So I mean, go ahead, Ruth.
No, you go ahead.
No, so I mean, additionally, on top of like the state taxes, you're talking about, local governments can tax you. I mean, what are some of the other kind of taxes that people are unaware of that?
Well, okay, we got a 10.2% sales tax on everything you buy.
10.2% now?
Everything you buy except for groceries and clothes, but everything I just bought a brand new car in December, and the sales tax associated with that was about $3,000.
Wow. 10% sales
10.2%.
That is, man. And now, is that every county is different though, too, right? It's not just.
Well, so some counties it may be 9.8, but
right.
It's
10.
It's 10%.
Wow.
And gas taxes is that?
Gas tax is about $1 a gallon. Everything we do. I filled up my car day before yesterday. I got a Nissan Rogue. It takes regular gas. I put $60 in it. It was $4.79 a gallon.
Oh man.
You see, we got to understand something. You guys are laughing at this. We're used to it. I mean, the people here aren't walking around sad or miserable or anything. You just get used to this type of thing. And I think where it's going to be a good thing for you guys in Nevada is that if anybody explores moving there, they're going to move there.
Absolutely. And no one, you're absolutely right. unless you venture out of California, vacation or have a friend somewhere, and you start actually going out and about in the towns, you'll start to realize the cost of living in California is outrageous.
Right. Now, we do have this. I was going to share this with you guys. We do have little rebellions going on from time to time, because that's what California is all about, people doing their own thing, okay? About 4 years ago, my wife and I went up to Central California, to Cambria, where that is, and the coastline, where all the sea lions out there and so forth. So we stayed at a B&B there, a bed and breakfast, okay? And because the restaurant's only open for dinner, you got to make your reservations in advance, okay? So we're doing that. The entire community there is going against the government at the time. They would only make reservations. You agreed up front that the bills to be paid in cash. They don't take credit cards or anything else.
Wow.
What does that tell you?
That tells you a lot.
And the restaurants all grouped together to do that as a group. We're taking only cash.
Oh, crazy.
Wow.
You can read between the lines on that one, right?
Yeah.
Oh man. So speaking about the governor, I know they got the enough votes for the kind of recall,
which I voted. I signed that petition.
Right. So what is happening? Can you explain what that recall election is? I know Governor Davis got recalled, and that's when Schwarzenegger came in over a decade ago. So what's happening right now? What's that process look like?
All right. So here's what it is in California. If after the governor is elected, I believe the number is, I want to say 20 or 30% of the vote. If you can get that many people to sign a petition to recall him, it will go back to the ballot again. So here's what the ballot will look like. On the left side, it's going to say, to go ahead and get rid of the governor or keep him. And if you decide to get rid of him, on the next column, who do you want in? There's going to be about 20 names. Caitlyn Jenner is going to be there. A whole bunch of people are going to be on that side. And you check that box, and they'll make the switch if the numbers come out right. That's how it's going to work.
Okay.
And what I think is really more interesting is why this has happened. Okay. Now, if you read the LA Times as of yesterday, or listen to what the governor says, it's not true. Okay. Because I'm a business person here in town, in the state, and I know literally hundreds of business people in this town. Okay. The governor is going to tell you that the reason that this recall is coming because this state's full of racists, and they want to get rid of black and brown people, and that's why they're doing this. That's what they're going to say. Okay,
sure,
that's not the reason. The reason is this: because I know business people, restaurant owners in town, and whatnot. First of all, let's start with the recall petition. You know how they got so many people to sign? They set up signing stations in all the closed restaurants across the state.
Wow.
That's where it started. Okay. So it was a sympathy of the restaurant patron who felt bad for the entrepreneur who said, I'm going to help you out here. I'm going to sign. Okay. Mm-hmm. I signed at one of our favorite restaurants.
That was closed.
Yeah, that was closed. Here is what really happened. And again, nobody really wants to talk about this. In early November, the state of California said, because of the holidays coming up and the COVID issues we were having, they were going to allow outside dining through the holidays. So thousands of restaurants went out and spent and borrowed money to set up elaborate tents and heating systems, and outdoor kitchens and everything else to get through Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. Okay. 4 days before Thanksgiving, the governor comes out with an emergency order. No more outdoor dining. Everything is closed down. Everything is done. Finished. Okay, wait, it gets worse. Then shortly after that, he shows up at the French Laundry at a $350 dinner. No mask, no gloves, no social distancing, wide open restaurant, open, no issues at all. Okay, that was strike one. Strike two, did you hear about the cantina over in Glendale? That made national news. All right.
Is it
our restaurant in Glendale?
Yeah.
She went out and borrowed $25,000 to set up a 30-person tent with social distancing and proper in her parking lot. She spent the money. She did the entire thing. She got shut down completely. 3 days later, when she went to her restaurant to check on it, she noticed that her parking lot had two more tents set up in it from Paramount Studios, who got a waiver from the governor that's feeding 60 people out in those tents with no masks, no nothing, in her parking lot, where she just got shut down.
Right.
Why did they do this? The governor gave them a waiver because he likes show business because they pay so much in taxes.
Right.
She is now suing the governor personally, and the lawsuit, and he's going through depositions with her right now.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is why he's getting recalled. This is why it's not about anything else. It's the fact that he shut people down, he bankrupted people, and then went ahead and did just the opposite himself and bragged about it.
Wow.
That's why.
I hope
That's
no one.
a little up for you guys. Yeah. What really happened?
Yeah, I mean, I just hope people don't get fooled. Yeah, I mean, I hope people don't get fooled by any of the rhetoric that's going to come out of this. You know, they try to spin. I mean, with this whole other stuff that they're trying to put in front of this, but that's incredible. I know. I mean, depending on what news outlets you listen to in the mainstream media, you get a different story. So,
well, you can't listen you can't listen to the news outlets because they're not going to tell you the whole story.
No,
okay,
right.
We're here watching it. I'll tell you a quick story. There's a restaurant down in South Redondo that we go to sometimes for breakfast. I meet a lot of clients down there because it's a local spot. And it's a place called Eat at Joe's. They've been in business since 1947. And it's one of these things, you got a big patio with long picnic tables. You can imagine what it looks like. And everybody's sitting together eating, and all kinds of businesses and people talking real estate and mortgage. It all going on down there, okay? He put up an elaborate tent and situation in his parking lot in the middle of November because he said he's going to survive all the way through the holidays and whatnot. Well, he got shut down 4 days later. And I think his patrons were more angry than he was. Okay. So what he did is he went ahead and he defied health department law and opened up anyway. And he put a banner across the front of it that said, "We are now considered the French Laundry too." Okay. Let me tell you something. That morning, CNN, NBC, CBS, ABC trucks are in his parking lot. It was a big deal. He stayed open for 14 days while everybody was shut down because he would not do it. And then on the 14th day, the police department came in and chained up his safe and took away his license.
Wow, man.
And he's open today. I had lunch there two days ago. He's suing the governor.
Wow. They have enough.
I'll tell you what's going on. I mean, this is real, and I know these people personally.
That's so crazy.
We have people that we know who owns five restaurants in Los Angeles, of which 3 got shut down. She did an op-ed in the Los Angeles Times on how the governor has destroyed the restaurant business in the state of California. And it's funny because he used to be a restaurateur before in another career.
Well, and he owns a winery, right? Like a couple of wineries in the Central Coast.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. This is why the recall's happening. It's got nothing to do with race or anything like that. It's got to do with the fact that it's, you do this, but we're going to do that, and we're going to shut down your business. And this is why it's going on.
Right.
You didn't see this across the country. You only saw it in California.
No.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So I mean, here's the other question that kind of contradicts what's happening, which is the migration right now. Is home prices are still going up here in California in certain pockets, right? I mean, what's the explanation behind that right now here?
It boggles my mind, to be honest with you. I don't get it. I mean, you can right now in Venice sell a $4.2 million home with 50 people camped on your front yard and it's multiple bids.
Who's buying this stuff?
All kinds of people. We have a lot of money still coming in from China, cash buyers. When the Chinese buy, they buy for the long haul, I mean, they buy for multi-generations. I mean, they don't care if they lose money next year. They don't care if they lose money in 20 years. They're talking about 100 years from now.
100 years, correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So we've got a very wealthy population here. We've got show business. We've got, I mentioned to Ruth, I manage property. I manage a lot of large homes, a lot of state properties. I'm renting now to some show business people who are executive producers on ABC and CBS shows, okay? They'll come to me with an application with a W-2 that has $1 million on it. How often do you see that?
Yeah.
In California, you see it all the time.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what $1 million W-2 looks like in a pay stub. A pay stub will have $83,000 on it because 83 times 12 is $1 million. I'll tell you what it is.
Exactly right. But they're only collecting 41,000 though.
Well, so that's where the money comes. And also, there's a lot of wealth here because people have bought homes like we did. We bought a home for $250,000. Now it's worth 1.4.
Right.
I think that's going to drive more business to Nevada than anything, to be honest with you.
The high prices?
Yeah, because
people don't want the Prop 13 situation.
I've got a friend who was working with me at Remax And she and I worked together almost 3 or 4 or 5 years. Well, we've been in business together for almost 15 or 20. She was a friend of mine at Remax. She left there because her husband was working for Boeing, and they moved up to Seattle. And she's been there ever since. And they just sold their home in Seattle for 1.7. And they moved down to Las Vegas. They bought a coffin and brood home. She thought this was the greatest deal since running water. She said, we left Seattle on a 3,000 square foot home. We bought a 3,000 square foot home for coffin and brood. She said it cost like $650 or something.
Yeah.
A gated subdivision with pools and country clubs, everything there. And she said, no, we had $1 million left over. They paid cash.
Steve, the cost of living in Seattle is 63% higher than it is in Vegas.
That. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
63%.
Yeah, she sent me a picture of herself at some kind of farmer's market down, I guess, at Fremont Experience or something. They had something going on down there. She said, this is a great town to live in. She said, it's cheap to live here. She said, it's easy.
It is. And our homeless situation is it's being managed. It's not.
Yeah, let me tell you, when I saw you guys last week, I put 160 miles on my rental car. I drove around. I wanted to see what was going on in town. You don't have 1% of the homeless problem. You guys, I didn't see, when I was driving around, Ruth, I saw little of any graffiti. I didn't see people pushing shopping baskets around. I didn't see people sleeping all over the sidewalk. I didn't see that when I was there, and I was all over the place.
And you don't see a lot of garbage laying around anywhere. We have a clean new city. I love it.
Can I tell you something, though? This is the sad part. When I moved to California after graduating college in 1980, that's how Los Angeles was.
Yeah.
Okay. I moved from the New York metropolitan area. I land in Los Angeles and said, oh my God, the air is clean. The sidewalks are clean. People don't live like animals out here. This is great. That's how it was in 1980.
California dreaming.
Yeah. That was the appeal back then.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And little by little, and I don't know how this is going to get resolved. The homeless situation here. I mean, the last thing to happen. And I think, I don't know if this is going to go. We have a city councilman in Los Angeles, Mike Borden, who's got this idea that he's going to resolve the homeless situation in our neighborhoods. And what he's wanting to do is he's got up before the city council, which is getting voted on next week, to turn our beautiful beaches into homeless centers.
I heard that.
You heard that?
I heard that. Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what he wants to do exactly, because the LA Times laid out a map. Okay, I don't know how well you know Los Angeles. Playa del Rey, Marina del Rey, and Dockweiler Beach, the most beautiful beaches we have in suburban Los Angeles. He wants to turn into an 800-person homeless encampment in the center. Then he wants to go to Santa Monica and do the same thing on their beaches, and then go out to Malibu and do it at Will Rogers State Park.
Right.
Because we have these huge parking lots out there where they can set up these encampments.
And so when they do that, they provide porta potties and
all on the taxpayer's dime. That's why the taxes are going to go up here. Yeah.
And what about the immigrants that are coming in?
Actually, they're the ones that are most productive in our communities.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for them because they're the ones that got burned out during the riots, and got burned out and got looted out.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're not presenting a problem.
Doesn't sound fair.
So the undocumented one, I'm talking about undocumented people. Are they being? No,
there's nothing being done. It's a wide open border situation. People are coming across and working and doing and just going. I mean, you can't say anything. You can't ask for papers. You just accept it.
So they're getting paid cash and not paying taxes?
Mm-hmm. Well, I had this discussion with my CPA, and let me tell you how it goes. As you know, Ruth, you're a property manager. We need to send 1099s every year, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I send 1099s to everybody except for 2 landscapers who will not give me their social security numbers, who just take their check to the liquor store and cash it. Okay. So I talked to my CPA about that. I said, what's going to happen to me? He goes, can I tell you something? He goes, the IRS knows what's going on. He goes, they're not pursuing this.
They're not going to charge you for their taxes?
He says they know what's going on. He said, I've been through these audits. He said, they know what's going on. He said, when we show somebody an audit, 5 or 6 or 7 unfiled 1099 from people who we don't know because doing landscaping, the IRS just throws them and says they don't care. I mean, it's just, they're not even pursuing that anymore.
They got bigger fish to fry.
They got bigger fish. And then how much can they really get from these documents?
Exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like where do they send the bill?
Exactly. So I mean, that's kind of common knowledge here. I had a landscaper working for me on some of my accounts. He went out of business. He was the only legit landscaper I could ever find. He had workman's comp. He had everything. Okay, 1099's the whole deal. He said he couldn't stay in business anymore with those costs. Because what he told me is a typical scenario in LA. People come up from Mexico. They will live in somebody's garage with their family of 3 or 4.
Right.
Okay. They will collect welfare, food stamps, and all the benefits and send their kids to the public school system here. Meanwhile, they are working for another guy who's a landscaper. Then he gets off on his own and he starts getting his own accounts. He says these people will make anywhere to $100,000 to $150,000 a year with no taxes paid on anything. They work for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, get close to $1 million and go back to Mexico. Then they go back millionaires and they buy houses and they set up hotels and stuff like that.
Holy mackerel.
That's what he told me. That's why he said he can't afford to be in business and do workman's compensation and everything else while all this is going on. He said everybody's beating him out. He can't do it.
So we've heard a lot here about the affordable housing proposals that are in California. So if the immigrants, the undocumented immigrants, find ways to make money, who's utilizing or needing this affordable housing?
Okay. What they're doing is right now is they can't live in LA. They got to go out to Inland Empire, San Bernardino, Riverside County out there, where you can still get Las Vegas style homes at Las Vegas style prices. You can still get a I sold a house for a lady in Redondo Beach in August, and she went out to Murrieta. You know where Murrieta is?
Yeah.
Near Temecula, that area. Okay. She bought a 6-bedroom, 5-bath home, 3,100 square feet with pool on a 1/4 acre lot for $675.
Wow.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah. You're in Murrieta, though. That's the.
Yeah, well, okay. You know what I'm talking about. So
right.
What I'm saying, but it's doable. And what they do is they commute an hour and a half for 2 hours every day for their job. That's life.
I know.
So again, who is eligible then for the affordable housing? How is that working there? Because I heard that's a problem.
There really isn't any. I mean, you're talking about affordable housing like rentals, or talking about owning?
There. I mean, the bill that just got.
Zoning.
Yeah, exactly right.
So we have SB 55 that passed here in California. All right, and if you remember when Trump was running for president, he kept screaming, "They're going to destroy your neighborhoods," but he never told anybody what that was about. He just said that, and nobody knew what he was talking about. Okay,
right.
Well, they're not destroying the neighborhoods. What they're doing is this. They're putting SB 55 allows in California for the zoning and density rules and laws to be put in the hands of the state and real estate developers and not the local communities and local cities. Okay. So there is a feeling out there here in California of what's called housing equity, meaning everybody gets the same opportunity. Why should somebody have to live in LA and send their kids to crappy LA unified schools when they can live in Redondo Beach and go to the 3rd best school system in the country? Okay, so to equalize that and to make this more fair, what they're doing is they pass the zoning. So for example, I live in a 2-and-a-lot condo in North Redondo. There's a back unit and a front unit. They're subdivided into 2 separate lots, but that's how it is, okay? My house is worth about 1.4 and the neighbor's house in front is worth about the same, okay? Because we live on a 50 by 150 lot, under new zoning that the state would administer, they will allow up to 40 units to be built going up 3 stories on my lot.
On your lot, right.
Okay. So that if you start doing the math on the rent, then somebody could offer me $4 million for my parcel and still make money. Right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So they buy up the parcel. They build this 40-unit monstrosity. My neighbors will hate it because they're going to see these huge things going up all around them, and they're surrounded. 30% of the people in there must be Section 8. So about 12 out of the 40 must be Section 8. Everything else can be whatever you want to charge. The amount of parking spaces in this 40-unit building is probably going to be limited to 4 to 6, because it's got to be built by a transient line within 1 mile of a bus or subway line. If it is, then everybody's assumed they're going to Uber or walk to work or walk to the train station or whatnot, and there will be no cars. They're trying to get rid of cars in the cities, ultimately. This will be a 30-year project. Ultimately, that's what they're trying to do.
Wow. Wow.
So
how are people reacting to this?
Because I was working, believe it or not, on one of these deals over in Mid-City where I had plans and blueprints. I was showing it to a developer friend of mine. It was 44 units on a 50 by 175 foot lot over in Mid-City. Right now on that lot is a single family home. Okay, that's what originally zoned.
Right.
Okay. Now they want to put 44 units up, and it was a combination of studios, 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms with 6 parking spaces.
Who's going to move? I mean, right now, everybody has cars in California, right? There's more cars than people in California right now.
Well, I'm just telling you what they're trying to do here. And I've seen these buildings go up. It's really interesting. I was when I was on Fairfax Avenue a while ago. I was driving down there. It's interesting. You'll drive down there, you'll see a house on a lot that's 50 by 175, was built in 1945. Then in the 1960s, when they raised the density again, 2 doors down, you might see a 4-plex or a 5-plex built in the 1960s. Then you'll see a vacant lot or two, and then you'll see this monster built with 4 units on it, built there.
Crazy. Wow. That's going to definitely change the landscape of California.
Yeah, it will.
Well, we're 10 minutes almost to the top of the hour here, Steve. Any last thoughts on do you think the migration is going to keep coming here to outside of California? I mean, people say like this is going to be a temporary thing, right? And I'm telling them no. I mean, this is probably just the beginning as people start to realize what's going on in California.
I think unless we have a massive political change here in California, California is going to be known as the millionaire and billionaire state. You got to be one to be here. That's it. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. Because I be honest with you, I don't know how most people live right now.
Right. And that's why I moved out. I mean, I grew up in Huntington Beach, California, and
you know exactly where I'm talking about. Okay.
Yeah, there's a huge disparity. How do people, afford homes and things like that nature? Unless you're in a home already.
You struggle to buy your first home. You struggle to buy your first home. The equity goes up so fast, you become a millionaire in 4 or 5 years.
Right. It's getting there. You got to be like 35 before you save enough money to.
That is probably where a lot of people are buying homes from me are in their 30s for their first home.
Absolutely.
I bought my first home when I was 26.
Yeah. So, well, crazy stuff. Any last words from you, Steve, here for our audience here?
I think Nevada's got a tremendous edge right now. Mm-hmm. Tremendous. I mean, you look around Los Angeles, it's high taxes. It's not the best quality of life. I mean, it's not a terrible place. It's a beautiful state.
It's a beautiful state.
Yeah. I mean, and there's a lot of good qualities about it, but you have a lot of money to live here. And I think that's what the killer is going to be with this. Mm-hmm. We need to get some leadership in here that's going to make the state good for everybody.
Right. Exactly. So
I'll leave you with one final note that tells you what the flavor is here. It's been said in an editorial that the governor doesn't care about the people because he only cares about the top 9 tech companies in Silicon Valley, which supply about 70% of the state's taxes. That's Google, Facebook, and people like that.
Correct.
Wow. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's all we care about.
It's not fair, but it makes sense from his vantage point, obviously.
Right.
They're the ones who are paying the majority of the taxes here in California.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, you do know we did lose Tesla. They moved to Texas.
They moved to Texas.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and more companies will start to do that if the tax situation isn't improved there for sure. So
I got a question for you guys before you go. I was in Vegas last week. It was really tough. Restaurants were very difficult. It's very hard to get people working. Right. Is that still the case?
That's still the case right now.
It's the case here too. It's very difficult to get people back to work. I have friends with restaurants. I'm talking to them. They said they can't get people to work.
This actually time reminds me of the 90s in California, where you go everywhere and there's a for hire sign on every window. Right now, you can't go. I mean, you walk outside in any business in Las Vegas right now that's open, and they have a for hire sign out there.
And the casinos do too, asking people to come to HR to sign up.
Exactly right. Yeah. I mean, if you ever want to get into being a dealer or a cocktail waitress or even bartending right now, this is the time to do it because they're looking for workers. Yeah. Right. And once September rolls around here, when the federal unemployment benefits end, I have a feeling that a lot of positions are going to get filled.
Yeah, well, so we're on this real quick. I'll tell you, the rental situation in Los Angeles is very skewed also. If you're trying to get a house in West Torrance, Redondo Beach, a single family home or townhome, there's nothing for rent. Nothing. If you want to go into mid-city like Koreatown, mid-central Los Angeles, any of those where you have 15 and 16 or 18 unit apartment buildings, everything's for rent.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So the hot ticket is a single family and condo. See, people want to stay away from the pandemic, wanted to stay away from high density buildings.
Yeah.
Right.
So you figure in Koreatown, we have these like 16, 18, 20 unit buildings that go up 2 stories. 1 story, then they have a catwalks, and the 2nd story with the parking underneath. Most of those are now 40 and 50% vacant. And it's not uncommon for a landlord to have 18 units, of which 14 are non-performing because of COVID, still today.
Wow. Wow.
But not with single family homes or townhomes. Those are being scooped up faster than they're available.
That's probably the reason why too. Is like,
yeah,
they're moving away from the high density stuff in California or in parts of town and moving to the beach cities, the single family homes.
In Torrance right now, in West Torrance, which is West Torrance High School System, which is probably about the 4th or 5th best school system in the country, in the state, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, single story, 1,450 square feet, rents all day long with a line waiting to the left for $4,500 a month.
Wow, $4,500.
You can't keep inventory; they're gone. In the average days in the market is hours, not days.
Wow.
I'll give you the last one. I just did what, I don't know if Ruth, you do this a lot. Do you do a lot of standalone leases where people don't want you to manage, just want you to put them in there and then they manage it later?
Yeah, with one-time tenant placement, we call it.
I do that quite a bit out here. I just did one yesterday. I wrapped it up. I gave the owner their money. It was a condominium, single-level condominium, built in 1974. It was a condo conversion. These were apartment complexes converted to condos over in Torrance on Sepulveda Avenue. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, nothing special. It just had new appliances, laminate flooring, 1,155 square feet. She wanted $2,450 for this. Okay, I put it onto rent.com, apartments.com. I got my tenant in 3 hours. They took it.
Wow.
That's it. Gone.
Yeah.
Sight unseen.
They paid a $5,000 security deposit plus first month's rent.
Wow.
And I could have rented it 7 or 8 times.
Yeah. See, we got to get you back here 6 months from now. Just get an update here from what's happening in California, because this is an ongoing situation here that's obviously going to benefit Las Vegas.
I got to tell you something. We are doing great on our rents in Las Vegas. I mean, Ruth knows where we own and whatnot. Those rents have gone up 30 to 40% in the last year.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Well, they hadn't gone up for so long.
So long.
It was 85 cents a square foot here. I mean, when we built our website our system back in 2011, I guess it was, we would always do an estimate. If you bought this place, what would your return on investment be if you rented it? Mm-hmm. And we just used 85 cents because we didn't have to do any special calculations. Right. Now it's different. Now that 85 cents is $1 plus. Yeah. Yeah. And so it's a little bit more complicated now, but we put something on the market. It's gone. It's gone in a couple of days, and and then we get people upset, and it's like, well, it's not our fault,
Well, let me ask you, what do you do with security deposits? How much do you charge?
Well, in the state of Nevada, you can charge 1 to 3 months of security deposit, and we do. We normally just do one month. Unless there's some type of situation that merits charging 2 months. This state is very much about the fair housing laws, and so you can't do anything for one person that you wouldn't do for that same situation, right? And so we have to be across the board. Unless there's a special situation, we can't charge 2 months. Okay. The reason that I was asking is that our policy is, in California, you can collect a 2-month security deposit on an unfurnished unit or house, or 3 months on a furnished unit or house, and that's it. There's no additional pet deposit. That's all it is. Yeah. The reason I bring this up is we talk about buying houses in Las Vegas. You said you had stuff for $300,000 and so on and so forth. Some people moving into my rentals, they'll come to me with the security deposit, first month's rent. It's $15,000. I'm serious. $5,000 house is first month's rent plus
2 months security deposit.
Right.
I rented houses where the move-in money was $25,000. That's a down payment for some people.
Well, for here, yeah, that's the big thing right now. And that's why our first-time home buyers market is so hot.
Yeah.
Because it costs more to rent a home than to put a down payment, and you're buying the payment, not the price anyway.
Yeah.
As with these low interest rates, and the payments are cheaper than the rents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, with our affordable housing, it's a perfect storm with the median price under 400. If you do the math, you're paying $1,200 in principal and interest, where you might pay $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 for your rent per month versus.
It's a hell of a deal. It's a hell of a deal. Yeah. And that's how it used to be here until our prices got really, really high.
Yeah.
But again, the hardest part here that I'm seeing that people are having is moving up. Because of lack of inventory. You can sell your multi-million-dollar home in one day. Now, where are you going to go?
Right. That's becoming a problem here in Las Vegas.
Right. Just so let you know, in my personal business at Remax right now, I, for the time being, am not working any buyers. None. It's just too hard. I mean, right now, if you get a buyer, I mean, I got some tenants that want to buy a house in the $600,000 to $700,000 price range. Okay, and they're willing to go to the areas where those homes are available. And I started doing a little bit of looking for them. Okay, so we have a category in our multiple listing called coming soon. Do you have that?
Yes.
Okay. So I called an agent about this coming soon listing, and I've got good buyers. They got about 40% down. They can do this. Okay. At coming soon, he said he had 17 offers. Where do I want to stand? I mean, and it's funny. I got up at an office meeting, and the broker was not happy with this. But I said to the agents, I said, guys, if you're smart right now, you won't work buyers. You're only going to work listings and guarantee to get paid.
Yeah.
I said, because here's what I'm seeing as a listing agent. Okay, and this is really, I think, bad. My last listing that sold, we had 12 offers, and they were 12 good offers. So what does that tell me? 12 people went to work to sell a home. All 12 people convinced their buyer to pay the highest and best price. Only one got paid. Why would you participate in a situation like that?
So, Steve, a couple of years ago, you were going to come and do an office meeting for us on listings.
Yes.
And I might want you to come on one of my daily shows, because what I have been doing is begging people to get farms and go after listings.
That's what I'm doing. Exactly.
Just begging them and showing them how to do it, the dialogue, everything, because we have got to get more listings. And I said, don't go into a listing. I want to sell your house. Go into it as a buying consultation. So if you were to sell your house, where do you want to live? And so let them know that you care about where they're going. Anyway, that's a whole nother show.
No, well, again, it's funny that you brought that up, because I mean, I was working for a while lower end condos in Los Angeles. Now, lower end condos means they start at about 400,000. Okay. Wow. And so we had the same problem there. It was just there's no inventory and nothing to buy, and everybody's trying to get in, and it's difficult. It's just difficult.
Yeah.
Right.
And we'll see what happens. We'll just see.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have my daughter's final soccer game today, so at 10:30.
If you want me to come on to one of your office meetings, let me know. We'll talk about that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hold on, everybody. I have to plug my business, my CE business. We have a CE class that we're teaching on Monday from 10 to 1. It's about agency and who do you represent, and you have to prove it. It's really a great CE class, and Jimmy and I make it relevant to today's market because of the situation we have. I mean, the new problems are coming out of the woodwork, and we're going to help you solve them. So 10 to 1, 3 CE credits. If you can Zoom in, or you can come into the class. If you come into the class, you get a free lunch. It's only $18. We hope to see you there. I sent emails out this morning, so sign up, and we'll see you on Monday.
See you on Monday, everybody. All right, Steve, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Bye.
That was great, Steve. Thank you. We'll be in touch.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Max. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Have a great